Worst case scenario, you might lose a couple bucks, so it's not even that big of a deal. What's cracking, everybody? So today, instead of talking about a popular attraction or place, I wanted to focus more on a common fear and concern that people have when they travel, and that is scams. Obviously, nobody wants to be taken advantage of, but unfortunately, there are people out there that have no problem preying on a stranger in an unfamiliar land. In order to help prevent people from falling prey to these jerks, I'm working on a series of videos where I'm just going to focus on one particular scam and just kind of talk candidly about some of the bullshit that you may encounter abroad. And hopefully this will provide you with the steps you can take, if any, to prevent people out there from taking advantage of you. The scam I want to talk about today is something I encountered when I went to the killing fields in Cambodia. I had rented my own motorbike for the day, and when I arrived at the killing fields, there's a small on-site parking lot where I paid a fee to a parking attendant that in theory was supposed to keep an eye on my ride and make sure no funny business happened. This is a pretty common practice in Southeast Asia, so I just paid my money and left. Anyways, after I was done learning about the depressing history and genocide that happened in Cambodia, I left the killing fields, got on my bike, and I started to drive away. And I shit you not, like 10 seconds after I started driving away, this dude was running next to me yelling at me on how I had a flat tire. So naturally I pulled over, and sure enough my rear tire was completely flat. And this is where things get a little strange, because literally like 3 steps away from where the guy stopped me, there was like a full tool set to replace my tire. And the guy just happened to be so willing to replace my tire for $10. How convenient. Once I pulled over and was able to get a closer look at my tire, it was pretty obvious that someone had slashed it. So apparently the parking lot attendant that I had paid wasn't doing his job. Or what I think is probably the case, he was probably getting a bit of a cut of these tire replacement shenanigans that were going on. So obviously in the grand scheme of things, paying $10 to have someone replace your tire isn't that big of a deal, but this is more about the principle of the matter. And I don't want to say that sketchy business practices like this are common, but if you do plan on traveling through the developing world, you do need to keep an eye out for them. Because in most cases, these scams are pulled off in such a blatant manner, not because the people think they can get away with it, but because they know they can get away with it. I mean, what's $10 to the average tourist in Cambodia? It's nothing. And that's what scammers know. They know that if they put a tourist in an uncomfortable situation, that tourist will most likely just pay whatever's asked of them. Not me, though. After some pretty extensive haggling and using some of the more, I guess you could say, colorful words that the English language has to offer, I was able to negotiate my repair job down to $5. Obviously, $5 is not a lot of money to lose to a scam, but like I said, this is more about the principle of the matter, not so much the pricing. Unfortunately, there was very little that I could have done to protect myself from this particular scam. I mean, it's not like I was going to try to drive back into town and return my bike with a flat tire. I don't think that would have gone over too well. That being said, just because I found myself in a situation where there was only one solution, didn't mean that I had to be bullied into the terms that were provided to me. Because, like I said earlier, the reason that people are so blatant with these scams is because they don't think there's going to be any consequences for their actions. It's in these circumstances that life provides you with an opportunity to hold someone accountable for their poor behavior. And hopefully, you can teach them a lesson that they won't forget. By the way, I am not trying to imply that you should resort to violence to solve any problems, because as far as I'm concerned, that's never the solution. But if someone does decide to be an asshole and put you in a shitty situation for their own self-gain, I'm pretty sure the golden rule dictates that you're allowed to be a bit of an asshole to them in return. And if you do a good job standing up for yourself in this kind of situation, well, maybe the would-be scammer will think twice before they try to pull this shit on someone else. Anyways, that's going to wrap up this episode. I hope you found it helpful. I know that the subject matter isn't the happiest of stuff, but traveling does contain its highs and lows, and it is important to know how to deal with those unsavory situations. Also, before I go, it should go without saying that even though this scam happened in Cambodia, that's not an accurate reflection of all the people there. Cambodia is an awesome country. I would recommend it to anybody, and the people there are super friendly. Well, that's going to do it for me, and remember, until next time, don't be afraid to stick up for yourself, alright?